I'm already on 4 pages of notes. How you guys doing? All righty, our next speaker, Sherri Johnson, who I just met today. Where's Sherri? There you are, darling. How are you? She's a super duper for 25 years experience, by the way. When you in this business for 25 years, you know quite a bit. She used to run as CEO and broker over 750 agents and 1.7 billion in production. She would coach and consult. So she's taken that and she's taken it to a living. She does this for a living. I can tell you she can show you the results that she has for her strategies to make your life better in real estate. Let's give it up for Sherri Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my gosh. It's so great to be here. And first of all, thank you for having me, Brent, and to Jesse Zagorski for the invitation. He'll be here tomorrow. And Gene, for your introduction, thank you. And thank you for your awesome, Dylan, where are you? Awesome. I'm so inspired. I could have just sat here all day. First of all, there we go. Hi, I'm Sherri Johnson. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, and I am just excited to be here. I've been invited to this a couple times, and I got to tell you, this is amazing what you do. So it's an honor and a privilege to be here with you. I know some of you from Facebook. We haven't met in person yet, but I see you, and I can't wait to spend some time with you. This is going to be about unlock your potential in any market. Who would like to build, I don't know, a 50, 60, 100, $200 million pipeline of business? Right? All of us, right? How would you like to make $50,000 to $100,000 at your next open house, or have your team members make $50,000 to $100,000 at one open house, right? How do we leverage the power of one listing? I'm going to share with you how to do that. And I had that great introduction. I'll put this up again at the end, or I have some cards too. You can connect with me. But I want to tell you that when I got my license, actually, I have another slide to tell you first. So I have a podcast. We've got about 350 episodes. People tell me I've sold 5 houses from listening to your podcast, which is absolutely amazing, and I love that. There's great content on there. This one happens to be about how you can make 50 grand at your next open house. So go ahead and take a look at that, listen to it, download it. It's available on all podcast platforms. I am changing the name of it to The Long Game. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But as you heard, I've been in the business 27 years, almost 30. And when I first got my license, I grew up in a family business. My parents didn't go to college. They started a commercial printing company in Cleveland, Ohio with $500. And wildly successful. They were the #1 printing company in Cleveland. And my father taught me the value, like literally told me, you have to add value, Sherri, or no one will hire you. And so I am grateful today because he taught me that. He made me buy my first car and get a loan. He made me do it the hard way, as he used to say. And honestly, to this day, I think about the value, the exceptional value. Every job I've ever gotten, every opportunity I've maximized is because of adding value and just knowing that you have to radically differentiate yourself in this highly competitive world. So as you heard, I was in the real estate business. So I sold for 10 years, and then I managed a bunch of offices. And my goal in 1996 and 1997 was literally to have a national speaking, coaching, consulting company one day. I have a background in organizational behavior and leadership development, a business degree. But I got my real estate license, and I used to go to Howard Britton Star Power. I think I met you there, okay? I think I met you there too. And I was like, I'm going to do that one day. And I tell you that mostly because I want you to say whatever it is you want to do, you can go do. Because I'm a single mom, self-funded, and I walked off the cliff of that huge executive job at Howard Hanna Real Estate in Cleveland, Ohio, where, I had a phenomenal job, and I said, I'm doing this, and I don't care. And so I have the privilege of speaking with you today, but I got to tell you, it wasn't always easy. I got my first, my dad said to me, if you don't sell a house in 6 months, you might want to get another job. And I was like, if I can't sell a house in 6 months, I'm not doing this, right? And so fear of failure and a stack of business cards in 1996, I sold 5 houses my first month. 1 to someone in my sphere, and the other 4 were from one listing from a floor call that I did an open house at, and I had 4 sales from it. So right there was the strategy that I then used that I'm going to share with you today, which is literally, I think, a lost art. Remember the power of one listing? Like if you have team members that are not producing, I'm going to give you so many strategies today, your head's going to blow off actually, because the gold mine pipeline system that I developed and I'm going to give you the gold mine pipeline as well. There's no like trick to it. It's just a strategy. And I think that's been our biggest problem. We just don't have a strategy. How can we leverage one house into 5 to 7 more sales? Right? Stop putting the sign up and selling it and then moving on to the next transaction. So the power of one listing is, remember that house you didn't want the sign to come down because you sold so many houses off of it, right? There's no such thing as a bad listing. And we should be maximizing the sale and getting 3 to 5 sales off of every single listing, yet we don't do that. How many of you have a listing appointment in the next 10 days? Raise your hand. Anybody have a listing appointment? Some of you have 2. How many of you have a listing appointment in the next 7 to 10 days and you just don't know the address yet? Right? Every hand goes up, please. And I think what we have to tell ourselves is when I go across the country, I have a coaching team, and we've been doing this 7 years now. In March, it'll be 7 years that I started Sherri Johnson Coaching Consulting. And my companies will tell me, Sherri, there are no listings. There's no inventory. And I've got to tell you, that is a mind shift problem. That is a mindset and a mind shift problem. And if we're not thinking big, right, if we're not thinking about how we can actually leverage every sale and thinking, I'm going to be successful and wake up every single day and say, I'm going to list or sell a house. I remember I saw this ad that said, I sell a house a week. And I was like, I want to sell a house a week. Right? In my second year, I was like, well, that is my goal. And as I sat there writing the gold mine pipeline out, I was like, if I'm not selling a house a week, like I'm doing this wrong, right? With the amount of hours in a week. So I think we have to change the perspective that it doesn't have to be you sell 7 houses or 12 houses a year. That doesn't have to be like that. We just saw stats from your team that's doing it in their first 18 months. It's unbelievable. So we want to think big, right? I'd rather have people shoot to make $350,000 than have a goal of 150 and make 150, right? We'd rather them shoot for the moon and land on a few stars than shoot for the flagpole outside, right? So I believe that where there's one sign, 2 to 3 more signs are going to show up. We don't need a company to tell us that and sell us that product. We know this because we do it for a living. And every one of you, if you know you're getting a listing right now, start marketing that neighborhood right now, right? Because by the time your sign goes up, everyone's going to be like, wow, that person, that guy, that girl owns this neighborhood, right? More on this in a second. So I said maximize every sale. I've got a 5-strategy tool called the micro farming strategy that literally will get you more business in a neighborhood overnight and actually increase your average sale price at the same time. We have agents that make $100,000 in 4 months using this strategy, and they raise their average sale price from $400 to $600 all at the same time. Pretty cool, right? So how do we do this? Well, we have to have the right mindset. And it starts by saying, I already see myself winning. I already see myself doing it. I wanted to do 10 million and sell 75 houses. And then do 20 million and do 25 million. So we have to start with, like Covey says, Stephen Covey, begin with the end in mind. But mindset is the problem. We have agents on our teams that might not get that they could make 300, 400, 500 grand. We just have to share that with them. So I love this. Enthusiasm wins every time, doesn't it? And the last 4 letters are, I am already sold myself. Are you? Are your people, right? Are your people. It's a great word. All right. So the micro farming strategy, I'm going to give you a lot today, so I'm going to talk really fast. Number 1, you can use micro farming to generate listings in a specific neighborhood where you want more sales. Like just write those neighborhoods down and start marketing to them, okay? Number 2, launch your new listing in a neighborhood where you have a new listing going up and launch that. Instead of just slapping up the sign and putting the MLS, let's actually have a plan for that. Number 3, oh, and by the way, have a neighborhood open house preview, which is going to bring you 7-ish listing appointments, right? A neighborhood open house preview just for the neighbors. Number 3, find homes for your buyers. Do you guys have sellers who would sell their house, but they're scared they don't know where they're going to go? So how do we change that? I'm going to give you a sample of how to do that. And then 4 and 5 are pretty cool. How to, meet your neighbors, open house. Like we do open houses all the time. We should be doing them for our buyers to get the neighbors to come and meet your new client, your client who just moved in. Our clients are getting 25 people show up at these things with a taco truck, and they're picking up listing appointments. It's crazy, really successful. And then 5, obviously, having a housewarming party for your client sphere. So the first one, real quickly, is go get the listing. You want to be in that price point. I had an agent, I gave her 1 listing for $1.8 million. She's a brand new agent in a golf course community. I said, microfarm that neighborhood. She said, oh, so-and-so's been there for 25 years. It doesn't matter. They don't own that neighborhood, right? Brand new agent gets 7 new listings all over $1.8 million or $1.5 million in less than a year, just by being proactive, okay? So that's what you got to do. Secondly, when you launch your listing, right, we can put it in we can actually call the neighbors before the sign goes up and say, hey, Lisa, this is Sherri Johnson. I just listed your neighbor's property at 143 Woodrush Circle for $550, and I wanted you to be the first to know. And you know what she's going to say? Oh, I didn't see the sign. And you're going to say, that's because it's going up tomorrow, actually. But before it goes up, I wanted to introduce you to the property. I'm going to have a neighborhood open house preview, and I wondered if you had a friend, family member, or coworker that I could show the property to. Bingo, you're picking up listings. They're going to go on the gold mine pipeline. Okay, if they buy the house, great. If they don't, you just picked up a $550 buyer who probably has a house to sell, right? Number 2 on that is, by the way, when we just put the sign up and put it in the MLS, what happens? Lisa drives home, sees the sign, and calls her friend, right? And she just gave me Kim's name. So I have Kim's name because it's her friend. But Lisa calls her friend and says, there's a new property in my neighborhood. Go look it up. Here's the address. And where do they go? Online. I'm not going to say it. You know where they go. They go there, they click a person, and there's a showing. And that could have been your showing, couldn't it, if you had called? Because they're not going to say it's Sherri Johnson, 440-289. No, they're going to say, here's the address. Okay? The neighborhood open house event is unbelievable. Launch your listing with a grand open house event. All this stuff. Oh, Sherri, they don't stay on the market long enough. The open house is the GOAT of all lead generation in the history of our industry, is it not? We're not just doing it to make the seller happy. I mean, sometimes we have. Sometimes I have. But do a grand open house event and do a neighborhood open house preview. You will thank me. You will love the results. You'll get listing appointments. We have clients who love the neighborhood open house better than anything else. Another way, again, so these people who want to sell, but we don't have a place for them, or they believe that there's no inventory, because for the last 3 years, have we told consumers there's no inventory? Let's stop saying that, please, right? Because we've actually self-fulfilled that to happen, because we keep saying, I can sell your house 17 times. So what you have to say is, you know what, James, you said you were concerned about selling your house. I get it, because you don't know where you're going to go. And it looks like there are no homes on the market. We see this all the time. Low inventory market. It's not unusual. This isn't freak out world. We actually see this all the time. And what's better is I have an exclusive marketing campaign where I actually go out and find you a home that's not yet listed. I just need to know what streets you want to live on, what neighborhoods, and I will find you a house. That's what I do. That's the easy part, right? And then guess what? James is going to be like, wow, you're pretty awesome. And I would say, no, it's just what we do. Radically differentiate, add more value. And by the way, while I'm looking for that house, it probably might take me 2-3 weeks to find a few. I'd love to come and see your house and give you a benchmark price opinion of your house right now. And I can save you time and money on getting the home repairs ready, because I know what today's buyer's like, right? You haven't sold a house in 8 years. So we want to tell people, now what's going to change in James's opinion of the market? I just changed it. I flipped the whole conversation upside down. What we typically do is say, I'm waiting for something to come up in the MLS, right? And that's no fun. Why are we waiting? Why do we think that the only place that we can get listings is in the MLS? Because we've been taught that since day one, haven't we? You've all sold an off-market property, right? And I trust when I tell you we've done this, we get 4 sales, four clients, that's 7 to 8 sales from one letter that goes out that says, I have a qualified buyer, pre-approved, or cash buyer for your neighborhood. It's unbelievable. It really is. 7 in one, my best ever was 7 sales and a $500,000 price point. Pretty good, yeah. So basically, we just have to tell people that we will do the job, we will do the work. And I talked about meet your neighbors at an open house. This is a great strategy. Taco truck, whatever you do, right? Invite the neighbors. You're going to pick up listings. They're all going to say, hey, we're going to move in about a year, right? That this has been wildly successful, as has been the open house for your client's housewarming party. Now think about this. You send an event, Bright, to the neighbors 3 times. You're going to be contacting them. They're going to be contacting you. You're going to be the one that maximizes that opportunity, okay? All of these people go on the gold mine pipeline, which I'm about to get into right now, and I'll do it quickly. So I have this phrase, opportunities aren't lost. They go to someone else, right? Isn't that horrible? It's really an eye-opener, isn't it? Right in the side. So you didn't follow up with that person, and you saw the sign in the yard, right? Or somebody told you about a friend who was going to move, and you didn't follow up with the friend, your referral source, and then you see the sign, you're like, I think that was going to be my listing, right? Or you see it worse off in the MLS, right? So that can't happen anymore, right? That just can't. And one of the things we find is that most agents just don't have a consistent lead generation system. They just don't. It's a roller coaster ride of make money one month and not make any the next. And they only have like 3 to 4 people that they are giving all their time and attention to, are they not? And so what happens is if nothing happens, if those people don't buy or sell or list this month, we have a 0 for listings, a 0 for income, and a 0 for sales. And that's just not acceptable, right? This system is going to revolutionize, I hope, the way that everyone looks at their leads instead of throwing them out after the 3rd time, like some of the massive coaches, the national coaches say, right? After the 3rd time, drop them and move on. I will tell you, you can have less people on your list and have a better strategy to actually convert them and be more successful. So Goldmine Pipeline is literally available. You can go to www.goldminepipeline.com. You can also, if you scanned my digital business card, there's a link on there to just go download the pipeline. So you can go straight to my digital business card and you can get it there. But here's what's so awesome is that we take agents that are doing $2.5 million and get them to 6. They're doing $3 million, we get them to 9. They're doing 4 or 5 million, we get them to 12 or 15. One of my agents in Scottsdale just went from 30 million to 80 million in 9 months last year using Goldmine Pipeline, okay? 6 to 60 million, whatever it is. The goal is that they don't discredit the people who aren't moving right now. That's the big differentiator. They have to cast a wider, bigger net, have more conversations with more people at varying stages of their home buying process. Just because someone says they're not buying now doesn't mean they're not a good lead, right? 11 months from now, I followed up with somebody, Sherri Johnson with EXP, right? Sherri Johnson with EXP. They ghosted me in those terms, right? They didn't return my call. They didn't return a text. They didn't go look at houses with me. And what ended up happening is that in the 11th month, they said, Sherri Johnson, you're the only person who followed up with me. We know 12 real estate agents, and you are the only person. So what happened is literally I went and listed their house, sold their house, they bought another house from me. In 18 months, they did it again. So we are missing those opportunities, and so are your agents, most likely. Everybody goes on this thing, even if they're not buying for 2 years, right? Because even a C lead turns into an A lead very quickly. Sometimes even in the first week you meet them, right? You meet them in an open house, and by Thursday they're like, we've changed our minds, right? You are so awesome, we're listing the house this week. And that happens all the time. So agents miss these opportunities because they just discount those people. So everybody goes on here, and they will build a pipeline that's at least 3 or 4 times bigger than they thought it was, right? If their average sale price is $400 or $500, with 10 leads, they've got a $4 to $5 million listing lead, $1 million of listing potential just like that, right? Make it 20 leads, they've got $10 million in listings. They don't even know what they have. So when you lay it all out and you put it down on paper, buyer leads as well. So every lead goes on here. When you download this from online, it'll just tell you exactly what to do. There's an ebook, and it's like 2 pages. It'll show you exactly what to do, okay? So look at what happens. You're going to see the pipeline, and your agents are going to say, I have all these buyer leads and all these listing leads. And usually what they miss is that, because I'll see somebody's that'll say they have 22 buyer leads and only 2 listing leads. And I'm like, are all these buyers first-time buyers? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, do they have houses to sell? Yes. How many? Well, half of them. So you have 11 more listing leads. This guy had $4.5 million more leads for listings. He just didn't realize, because most of our agents are only looking at the deal that the person wants to do first. They're forgetting that there's another sale, aren't they? Conversely, I had an agent who literally said to me, she came in and she had no business, and she said, I have 25 listing leads. And I said, what do you mean you have no business? She had 4 buyers. I said, are those people all moving out of state? She said, none of them are. She had 54 pieces of potential business. She hadn't even thought of it that way, right? And it came out to like $12.5 million. She was dancing. By the way, she had done $4.5 million for 10 years. That year, she closed $8.5 million just by writing it down and keeping track of it and looking at it. Does that make sense? It's very, very, very effective. All right, so you're going to do that. Basically, you can't keep 3 eggs in a basket. That's the problem that every agent faces, is that roller coaster ride. They don't have enough future business. Like, wouldn't it be great for your agents to look 3, 6, 8, 10 months from now and know how many listings and sales they're going to have? Yes, and they can. They can actually do this, which is a roller coaster ride, or they can do this, right? 10 grand, 15 grand, 20 grand a month. That's what this does. Wouldn't it be nice to look at your pipeline and be like, Brent, I should sell 4 houses this month and list 4, and next month I should have 4 and 4 as well. Doesn't that de-stress everybody? Isn't it nice? Like the desperation. This is what I call the long game sales approach. So instead of having desperate measures of like crisis managing a sales pipeline they don't have, this actually relieves the stress and builds a pipeline of future business that they will have forever. And it just goes on and on. Again, they just don't know what they have. They need about 1.5 times what they want to sell. So they want to sell 36 houses. They need like 60 leads, 30 buyer, 30 listing. And guess what's going to happen? They're probably going to sell 40 to 45 houses. Less people, more effective with a better strategy. It really does work. And so we know the fortune is in the follow-up, and we know that literally 50%, almost 50% of us and our agents give up after the first contact, and it takes 5 contacts to actually turn and convert somebody, okay? So 10 calls, 20 grand, this is great. If you told your agents to go make 10 calls right now and you guaranteed one of them said yes, how many of you would make those calls, right? 10 calls, 20 grand, sounds like a good day of sales calls, doesn't it? So, and everyone says, well, it sounds so much better when you say it. And I said, that's because I said I was going to be successful, right? To go make 10 calls sounds horrible. But to say one of them is going to happen and I'm going to make $10,000 or $20,000 from this is a whole different approach. This is literally one of the podcast episodes is on here too for this one. And you know what we don't do? And if every one of your agents just focused on setting listing appointments every week, wouldn't the rest take care of itself? I mean, have a listing appointment goal. That's it. Do that, right? And you'll never not have buyers and you'll never not have listings. I mean, that's just the whole point, right? So I'm going to ask, I'm sorry, what's your first name? Rob. I'm going to ask you to jump to like the last 3 slides. And do you like this so far? Good. And Gold My Pipeline, listen, it's the pulse. I heard you say something to this. I was like, that's exactly it. It's the pulse of your future. So this is not a one and done. You don't fill it out once. You build on it. And someone who has a $3 million pipeline will end up, I didn't know that was the last slide. You can go to the one before it. That's a big picture of me. Ooh. So if you think about the pipeline as the ultimate game plan for them for this year, they don't need to write a 20-page business plan. They need this pipeline, and the pipeline will double or triple their income in less than a year. I've seen this thousands of times. It is the most amazing thing, and the difference is, and here's the key, guys, and I'm going to stop. You have to add it up. You have to add up, and their eyes have to get really big, right? And they have to say, oh my God, I have a $20 million pipeline. I didn't even know I could do this much business. They don't add it up because they discount all those leads, okay? Now, if you have leads that you're buying, you're not going to do this. You have to separate those leads. I get it, okay? But we've taken a team from 140 to 200 million just by putting everybody on here. You have a team, you put everybody on the Gold Mine pipeline, and you add it up, and you literally collect them, and you add it up. They said to me, how are we going to do 200 million? You sound so confident. And I said, just watch. So we had 15 people. They filled it out when we collected them. We had in their pipelines of potential business $230 million. And the team leader, actually, you know Sandy Rains. Where's Gene? Brent, you probably know Sandy Rains. So this is their team. So we went from 140 to 200 million just by the pipeline, okay? And they were like, oh my God, we could totally do this now. What your agents don't realize is what's going to be on this paper, okay? Hopefully you got some good information. I'm going to show you 2 things. There are a few products. Actually, I think that's the end. Oh, we have a team blueprint. This is an awesome 9-video series. You can get it on the digital business card as well. It says Winning Team Blueprint. It's like $400. Love you to check that out. And then the other one has the other one that you'll see in there. It's going the wrong direction. Are we both doing this at the same time? Broker's Edge is going to be great if you are leading a team as well. This is 12 videos, awesome content, 3 coaching calls with me. I'll make sure it's with me. And you can check that out as well. Early bird pricing, very cool. We have productivity. We're going the wrong way again. I'm just going to stop. You guys, thank you for having me. I can't wait to spend time with you at the pool. Thank you, Brent. You're amazing.
Great job.